That one followed by Predators and Blackhawks in Chicago on NBC 3 Eastern. Then you got Canadians and Senators at 7 Eastern. I'm Pete Fox. This is NBC Sports Radio and the NBC Sports Radio app.
This NBC Sports News Update is brought to you exclusively by West Coast Auto, located at 5180 Holt Boulevard in Montclair, where you'll find the widest selection of the most pristine used automobiles in Southern California.
This is Scientific American's 60-Second Science. I'm Christopher Intagliata. Got a minute? A 2014 analysis found that New York City's Queens was the most ethnically diverse county in the continental U.S. But when it comes to the diversity of DNA found in each borough's subway stops, the Bronx takes the prize.
I live in Brooklyn, so I was kind of hoping Brooklyn might be top of the list, but we're second place. Manhattan in the middle, and then Queens, and then Staten Island.
Christopher Mason, a geneticist.
A very curious geneticist, I'd say.
At the Weill Cornell Medical College in Manhattan. Mason's curiosity led him and his colleagues on a 5-borough tour of New York's 468 subway stations and the Staten Island Railway. They swabbed turnstiles, kiosks, benches, trash cans, railings, and subway cars, then sequenced every bit of DNA they found. The result?
The subway kind of looks like skin.
Meaning they found a whole lot of bacteria, like Pseudomonas, that also live on our skin. The DNA at each subway stop mirrored the genetic diversity of the local residents, and what they like to eat.
We could see other evidence of things like molecular echoes of pizza, cucumbers, as well as chickpeas that might be from falafels or hummus.
The researchers also found DNA fragments from anthrax and plague bacteria. But don't panic.
We have zero evidence that they're alive or remotely pose a risk to public health.
The team turned up some 1,700 organisms in total, but nearly half the DNA they sequenced couldn't be linked to any known organism. Assuming there's no actual Men in Black type extraterrestrial police agency operating underground in Manhattan, the unknown DNA means that we either haven't discovered some subway dwellers, or maybe we just haven't sequenced their DNA yet. The study's in the journal Cell Systems. Despite the mysterious genetic sequences, Mason says the research has made his commute a little more carefree.
And the study has replaced what used to be sort of a fog of almost fear maybe about what might be on the surface to concrete knowledge that the vast majority of everything under our fingertips is mostly benign. So I've become much more confident.
Thanks for the minute. For Scientific American's 60-Second Science, I'm Christopher Intagliata.
There's a man named Dr. Wallach who is anything but your typical doctor. Both a veterinarian and naturopathic physician, Doc asks, why does the United States spend more money on healthcare by far and still rank 50th in health and longevity worldwide? He believes that people should empower themselves with a basic understanding of nutrition, taking charge of their life, and attain optimal health and longevity through nutrition, not by toxic prescription drugs leading to side effects. This is clearly a deadly recipe. The good news is Doc Wallach's message is resonating with an increasing number of Americans who are waking up to all the big government and big pharma manipulation of our healthcare system. I like what Doc Wallach is saying and doing to enlighten people about healthcare.
Well said, Alex. Join the movement today. To purchase longevity products, go to www.kcaaradio.com. Click on the Buy Longevity image or call toll-free 855-909-3047. That's 855-909-3047.
KCAA invites you to listen to professional money manager Bill Gunderson every weekday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. Bill Gunderson is a highly respected money manager. He's a regular contributor to MarketWatch, TheStreet.com, and Town Hall Finance. Gunderson has appeared many times on the Fox News Channel, the Fox Business Network, and CNBC. You can hear Bill Gunderson's daily insight into the market at 7 a.m. weekdays, right here on KCAA. The station that leaves no listener behind.
West Coast Auto of Montclair is the 2015 top-rated pre-owned dealer in California, offering a service department that surpasses expectations in every single way. And while you're there, browse West Coast Auto's extensive lot of best-in-class pre-owned vehicles.
You're getting the best-in-class vehicles with financing options like 0% down and no payments for 90 days. Visit westcoastauto.com or call 9099-million.
West Coast Auto Montclair.
KCAA is your CNBC News affiliate. We're the station that gets down to business.
is time for Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen on the case for truth and justice with the right information to help improve the situation. Hope you had a great week. Hope you're prepared to do something for someone that'll make their life a little bit better and not necessarily make yours worse, but not for gain, not for capital gain, but just to help. Just to help. Boy, it does. I said not for gain, but it does gain so much for you. It makes you feel so good to help somebody and do God's work. Devil's work. Some work. Do something. Because even if you do devil's work, you'll wake God up and get him on his job. So that's what we want to do. We got Mr. Leonard Evans on the phone. We've got a nice set of people here today with a lot of great. Well, we have a lady who's written books for kids. You know, I'm a nut for kids. I have grandchildren, and Tracy Holmes has written a book called Colors. That's one of several books that she's written for children. She's going to talk to us a little bit. We have Alexis Reeves here. She is our candidate for college. She's the great super A++ student here in San Bernardino that's on her way to Temple University. We're trying to do something to make her life a little bit easier and try to raise a little money for her. But meanwhile, she's doing what she does, and that's to go out and do nice little reports and update us on things that we need to be updated on. We have Mr. Charles Radney, he's in. I'm not sure. Charles is a presentation expert. He's a person that helps you put your stuff together so that when you put it in the street or take it to the investor, they are going to be able to pay you, I guess. Charles will get a chance to talk to us about that. And, you know, we have our friends with the United Nations of Consciousness. We have the Hadavian Parquet. He's going to give us a little report and update on what's been going on with that group of new activists here in the Inland Empire and some of the quests that they have in terms of helping to improve our communities. Meanwhile, we have Mr. Leonard Evans on the phone. Leonard's got some concerns about police activity and how people respond to it, and I promised to give Leonard an opportunity to run for election and plead his case and see if we will determine that he's presidential quality as a result of his presentation. I don't know if that's all the case there, but good morning, Leonard. How are you?
I'm here, ready to go.
Are we running for president or simply trying to make the world a better place this morning?
Oh, just clarify understanding so there can be more appreciation of what's actually going on.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a short period of time to say what you're going to say without me arguing back. And I've just taped my lips and your time has started. Get it?
Well, it turns out what we've seen is unfortunate violence where there have been a string of victims. It's a recurring thing. People say, oh, look at everything that's happening now. I submit that we're simply seeing evidence of what has occurred for a long time.
We're talking about police activity, right?
The remedy to this is a military move they call a pincer, like a two-pronged approach. One is an effort to change the behavior of the police, the other to change the behavior of the citizens that wind up as victims. And by working on both things together, I believe that there is a solution available.
Okay, so pinch number one. What's the people who have been victimized or the ones who've been recipients of affectionate butt paddlings and fist in the eye and batons upside the head? I'm sure that there was no personal malice intended. It's just good official butt whipping. What do we do to stop this, Leonard?
Well, that's the sad thing. I mean,
what's the victim supposed to do?
Well, the victim, if you look at...
Well, wait a minute. Let's clarify who is the victim. I have to remember that recently here in the county of San Bernardino, we had an Anglo man actually chased down by the sheriff's deputies, and he actually jumped on a horse to keep with the tradition of the Wild West in the open spaces of San Bernardino County.
That's right.
And they chased him down, hit him with a taser, knocked him off his horse. He laid down on the ground, or he was knocked down on the ground, and
appeared to be compliant.
Well, he appeared to be, but then again, we weren't there. I don't know whose mother he was talking bad about, but the officers determined that he was not Then they rolled up on him and they kicked him in his baby makers. They kicked him in his think about your baby maker. That's your brain. And but they arrested him and then they ultimately let him go. So I don't know. Maybe your solution is working. I'm not sure. But what do we do about that, Leonard? How do we stop that?
Well, you've got to work on both parts of it. For example, if the person trying to get away knows that the police are prone to this behavior, when they catch people who run away, one way to avoid being the victim is to not run away. Now,
here we've got this thing of Pavlov's dog. This guy had been chased by the police before, beat up before. So once he sees that light in his window, he gets the Pavlov dog effect. He gets scared. He starts to run. And once again, this is an Anglo lad. This is not a black man. I thought he might have been black the way they worked him over, but he wasn't. He isn't, and they say they didn't think he was.
We have to remind the police that they are not the judge. Their job is to bring whoever it may be before the judge for judgment. What you see on that video is police exercising judgment. That is beyond their jurisdiction. So that's what they have to work on.
Well, I think
they're exceeding their authority in what they're doing.
I'm going to try to keep my lips taped and try to just be an observer here. But Leonard, it sounds like you're saying that the people that are running from the police probably would do better not to run, and that let me ask you this: what do you think about the cameras, these things that would maintain a level of evidence? Do you think that would be helpful for?
It will get the issue the attention that it needs, so that both sides can start playing a better role here.
Right. Well, first thing I want to do is apologize for my apparent cavalier attitude about this, but I'm one of those people that believe that if you don't laugh, you're going to cry. And if you don't put some humor in it and try to figure a way to keep some levity on it, you're going to turn into some kind of emotional terrorist, and probably yourself would be the biggest victim. I got to laugh to keep from crying sometimes, and I do understand the seriousness of this, and I do appreciate your idea. The same thing. Matter of fact, it's not a new idea. It's the same thing my mother and father did and grandfather. They told me, son, when you go in the streets, be careful. When the police come, if they come, don't try to negotiate. Do what they tell you. Negotiate with the judge. We will get a lawyer, blah, 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 all of that. But some of these people know that they have a problem getting food, let alone mom and dad being able to go get them a lawyer. So I submit. I think that your idea is right. If we have a way for people to calm down before the police gets there, that's great. And certainly these videos of showing what the police will do if you don't calm down ought to, kind of push more people in that direction. So I do agree and understand.
Let me cap this with reminding everybody that we have the punishment system. We need to think about enhancing the reward system.
That's true. And we're going to bring a person on in short due, not today, Jamal's mother, the one who has put together that program we were so happy to hear about last week, the encouragement program for the students here in the city of San Bernardino School District. I want to take a short break, but before I get to that break, I want to introduce Hadavian Parquet and let him remind us that activities on the part of the community is part of what's necessary in order to set up our situations where people are properly represented. Hadavian, tell us about the United Nations of Consciousness. Let's keep our music going, and how important your work is and what you guys have been doing. You just had a recent meeting. You had an activity a couple of weeks ago. Tell us the plan.
Well, the plan is to uplift the community, help people become leaders in their own community, to where that we give them the skills, the knowledge to become leaders, to take on their own community themselves, and just keep going to different communities and doing the exact same thing.
So we had a short meeting. We're going to take this break, and when we come back, we'll let you give us a little bit more complete report and idea of what you want people to do. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen, on the case for truth and justice with the right information to help improve the situation. We'll be right back.
Public Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
For more local radio every day, tune into KCAA Loma Linda.
As we listen to that music, one of the things I'm reminded of is that, here in the Inland Empire, the city of Rialto is going to have their 3rd annual Drop-In Jazz Fest, April 24th. That's this Saturday coming up, featuring Sheila E., David Benoit, hosted by Tommy Davidson. There's going to be a special tribute to George Duke, an all-star band led by bassist Byron Miller. Gates open at 10 a.m. for VIPs and 11 for general admission. And guess what? The Eisenhower High School Jazz Band will open the show at 11. Frisbee Park, Rialto, California. Go to their website, rialtojazzfest.com for tickets. You won't want to miss that show. It's going to be a great event, great local event. I have bought my ticket already. So we'll see you there. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. We want to continue our conversation with Hadavian regarding the United Nations of Consciousness and their quest to help bring some new social activity, community activity to the Inland Empire. San Bernardino is their target right now. Hadavian, tell us about it.
So we have our next phase in our state of San Bernardino. We're doing a Adopt a Community project. It's starting May 30th. We're looking for sponsors to donate unopened food, hygiene products, trees, flowers, plants, and our goal is to plant 100 assortment of trees and give out different things for the community. And the number to get in contact with us is 909-575-8862. 909-575-8862.
I have a suggestion for you on your tree planting. One of our great community groups, the San Manuel Mission Band of Indians, they are known as the People of the Pines.
Okay.
And the pine tree is a symbol of their eternal existence and cooperation with the planet. So you might want to get in touch with them and see if they might be involved or interested in helping you plant some pine trees as memorials.
I appreciate that.
Which would also be something to help complete your project. And if they decide to be helpful, we'll talk about them on the radio.
That'll work.
Okay,
That'll work.
So let them know that. So we do appreciate your efforts. We appreciate the United Nations of Consciousness. I appreciate the fact that someone, my age, once you get past, that age, we certainly appreciate knowing that there's young folks behind us that are working hard to be sure that the work we've done or tried to do or get credit for trying to do continues, and we do appreciate you for that. And as we point out the importance of your future work, it's a great time for me to introduce Miss Tracy Holmes, who is a lady who writes books for children, demonstrating the fact that the future is a concern for, that's like scratching us. Oh, what was that noise? And Miss Holmes, how are you? Or Mrs. Holmes, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
Very good. I wouldn't want anybody to look in this show and see a beautiful woman like you and hear me calling her Miss, especially with her husband working hard like he does to have made you be Mrs. And do you have children?
Yes, I have one daughter.
And as your daughter, I imagine, was part of the stimulus for you writing this book, Colors. We'll put it here so our folks can see it on camera. Is that true?
Yes.
Tell us about your book. Tell us why you wrote it. Tell us how people can get involved and purchase it. Come a little closer.
I wrote this book for my daughter, Alyssa. It's English to Spanish. It's spelled in how you pronounce the words in English.
English and in Spanish.
Yes.
Okay. Now that's a conversation of philosophy right there. What you're demonstrating is that you think our kids here in Southern California would do well to speak two languages.
Yes. That's how I taught myself how to speak Spanish. I would write down the words how they're pronounced in English, and that helped me pronounce them correctly.
Well, let me stimulate you a little bit here. Hola.
¿Cómo estás?
Good, very good. Okay, well, nice conversation. I appreciate that. We'll extend that. I'll do a little better. Next time I see you, we might be able to have 2 sentences. One, well, we can do that now. One is hola, the other is adios. But I think that's a great. I think that's a great concept that our young folks should be learning the 2 languages. And tell us about how you affect that with the book.
Well, in the book, there's colors. The first book is colors, and so when you see the word red in Spanish, it's pronounced rojo, but if you speak English, it looks like rojo. Okay. So then on the bottom, it's rojo, spelled out how it's pronounced.
Okay, so you've created your own phonetics to go along with the Spanish sound here, like cafe.
Yeah.
Rosa. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's something that I think will help the young people not only identify the colors, but work with the spelling. Of course, we don't want the English-speaking kids to think that's how you really spell it, but it's important that they do get the phonetics on it. What are your plans? What other books have you written?
Well, I have the follow-ups for this is numbers, bugs, fruits, and vegetables, and all in English to
So
Spanish.
We're going to do bugs and then fruits. Oh, that's great. That's great. Who in your family does this kind of thing? Why did you decide that you could do it? What gave you the confidence that you could write a book, get it published, get it sold, get on the radio, and all of these things?
I don't know. I just thought it was a good idea, and I just took a leap of faith, and I just did it, and it turned out good. I'm very fortunate that it did work out, but I just wanted to share learning another language with my daughter because I thought it was important.
I think she'll think it's important too. One of the other aspects of your writing the book is the business part, the getting it published, getting it distributed, and you have a deal that I was very impressed with when you told me about it. I'm not going to try to go through all of that with the listeners, but tell people how to get in touch with you so they can do 2 things. 1, find out more about your book, and 2, maybe hire you as a consultant to help them publish their books because you've done a great job in what you've done to put that together.
Thank you. If you're interested in purchasing my book, it's available on sayittwicebooks.com and also on barnesandnobles.com and also on amazon.com. And you can just Google me or go to my website and you can see me on Instagram and also on Facebook. You can purchase there.
Ms. Tracy, do you or have you or will you soon be doing any book signings?
Yes, I will. My next one will be at Rialto in Rialto Public Library, and that's going to be on August 13th at 10 o'clock in the morning. And that's the only one. I just had preschool time at the Rowe Library in San Bernardino.
Okay, well, I certainly expect that you're going to have some signings before August. So what we would like to have you do is give us a reminder. We'll put it in the paper, West Side Story, and we'd like to let people on the air know that you have another book signing. And as soon as you do that, you let us know. Matter of fact, maybe we'll hook you up and get one going. Maybe you'll go do one at the Rialto Jazz Festival this Saturday. We could talk about that. We could maybe hook you up and set you a situation where you can do a little book selling. That's really good. Tracy Holmes, the author of Colors, Say It Twice Books, is the branding of her publishing company?
Tate Publishing is my publishing company.
Okay, well, they're the official go do the work, but you're the ones who gave them the work?
Correct.
So this is an association, Tracy Holmes Publishing in association with blah, blah, blah. We want to keep your name in there and keep everybody else in their proper position of depending on you. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
All right, I appreciate hearing that. We want to switch reels and take the youth up a little further and talk to our intern, our Miss Alexis Reeves. Alexis, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. What have you been working on?
Well, I recently was doing work researching the STEM field, and the STEM field.
The STEM field? What do you STEM field? I heard about some stem cell research last week where some people were very much improving, but STEM in the world of education means something else.
Yes, it stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Okay.
And it's the 4 fields where they're up and coming, and they're one of the highest paid jobs. So I think it's important for the youth to look into these jobs. And before I learned about STEM, I had no idea that it even existed. And just the power of this field is so great. You not only learn science, but you learn technology, engineering, and math all in one, and you don't even realize it. So each field that you go into, you pick up skills from the others without realizing it, and it really makes you a complex individual, and it makes you a better applicant when you're applying for jobs. And there's an obvious gender gap within the field. Every 5 males, there's 1 woman. So I think it's important for the youth, and more particularly African American, Caucasian, Hispanic, Latinas, Asian American women, to go out and pursue STEM careers, because it is so beneficial for us. And we're working towards gender equality and getting the same pay. So I think this is just one step that we need to take, and it's going to pay off in the end.
Man, and she hasn't graduated from high school yet. I'm just amazed. I really appreciate you, Alexis. I get caught up in the smooth with which you talk, but I also listen to the content, and I'm very impressed. Do you think that the world would be a better place if all of the world leaders were women as opposed to men?
I think there should be an equal amount of both genders in order for it to have a
do you think we'd be a more peaceful place if women were in charge of more countries?
Perhaps, because women tend to be more peaceful, and men tend to want to go into wars.
Boxing and all that crazy stuff.
But yeah, I think there needs to be an equal amount of both genders in order to have a successful society. So that's why I feel so strongly about gender equality. And
what can we do to make men and women more interested in science and technology and engineering and math?
I think it's just educating them, because a lot of youth do not understand.
How do we educate them to?
Well, I was educated at a conference, so I think there should be teachers should teach this in their curriculum. I think it should be something that's brought up earlier in middle school, elementary school. I think these are things that need to be taught to kids at an earlier
Would you
age.
be encouraging to Miss Tracy to write a book about numbers and science, so that the young kids would be enthused and interested in that? Did you hear that, Miss Tracy? Oh, so we're giving some advice here on some books that we'd be willing to buy for our children and push it around. And if they know more about numbers, they might not have some of the difficulties that people have with their credit rating and keeping up with their lifestyle desires and things of that sort, right? So tell us quickly about school. How are things looking for you to go to school? What kind of needs do you still have?
Well, I am about, I think, $2,000 short now for college, but school is going so great. I'm so excited to go to Temple. Prom's on Saturday. Graduation's next month.
Oh, the prom is this Saturday.
Yes.
You're going to the prom.
Yes.
Okay, who's the lucky person taking to the prom?
I said no to everyone. So I'm going with my best friend.
Going with your best friend. Very good. You guys, are you limousining? How are you doing that?
We have a party bus.
You have a party bus. Well, you guys be very careful. We'll all be praying for you that you don't do
Allen,
the crazy things that Mr. Evans and I did when we were. You just spoke up. You volunteered. What's up, Mom?
Right. Well, the beautiful thing that she's doing here is helping people, no matter what they wind up doing, get an understanding of how the world works through science, technology, engineering, and math. That it touches everything is what they see by getting involved. And it's useful, again, no matter what they wind up doing in the end. It's a very good thing to be doing. My compliments, please.
And one of the things to incentivize you to learn to count is that most of the people that you deal with hope that you can't. They would love to have the advantage of knowing that you think 2 and 2 is something other than 4, so that they can take advantage. And that isn't considered unfair necessarily. There's a certain group of people who get called for fraud, and there's
Mr.
other people
Allen,
who catch a reward for fraud.
We were in a store one afternoon, and I was shopping for something, I don't know. And it turns out that I asked the price, and it was ridiculous. And I turned to you, and I said, is he out of his mind? And you said to me, no, he's just trying to find out if you are.
Yeah, I believe that's true. Our friend Joe Daniels used to tell us all the time, they're just trying to give you the stupid test. Don't pass it. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen on the case for Truth and Justice. We'll be right back to let you know how important it is for you to learn how to prove that you can count. This is very important. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
We supply the words, you paint the picture. AM 1050 KCAA.
We don't want you to forget that once again there is going to be the Rialto Drop-In Jazz Festival this Saturday, April 24th at Frisbee Park. Sheila E. is one of the artists that our great mood master, Anthony Garcia, has experience playing with. We are going to hopefully get an opportunity to see Mr. Garcia on stage with him this week. We are lobbying for that, folks, so that you guys will see the connection. We are really blessed here to have Mr. Garcia hit us up with his great bass playing every Sunday. Of course, it does cost me about $5 million a week, but he's my credit's good, so we're all right. Speaking of credit, we have with us Miss Sherry Stewart. She works with an organization, Springboard. Mm-hmm. Come on, I've been saying Springleaf. Can we get you to change your name so I won't be wrong? Okay. Well, Springboard. Springboard is tell us about your organization and the community support that you provide.
Sure. Well, thank you, Wallace, for this opportunity to be here today. Springboard is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We're based in Riverside, established in 1974. So we have over 40 years of service to the community. What we provide is financial literacy education primarily for adults as well as youth. We also provide consumer credit counseling in various different sectors, whether it's housing counseling, credit and debt counseling, pre-education for a bankruptcy situation, reverse mortgage counseling, and also first-time home buyer education. So essentially the agency spans the gamut of all personal consumer financing. We're not a lending institution, and we don't discuss anything having to do with where to purchase your mutual fund or anything like that. So we don't do investments, but we do provide basic financial literacy education for consumers.
Financial literacy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Credit.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a businessman, and I'll have to confess that credit has not been my friend. I've been in business, it's been a long time. Mm-hmm. And credit has not been my friend. We've struggled along. What are the benefits of good credit? How hard should a person really work to assure that they've got a decent credit?
Well, that's a great question. This month, April, is actually considered National Financial Literacy Month, and this is a time where our agency, Springboard, as well as other similar agencies, that we really encourage consumers to really focus on their personal credit issue. We're going into the second quarter. We're into the second quarter now. So one of the things when you say credit has not been your friend, or why should we consider even looking at our credit? Well, number one, having a very good credit score, the best credit score that you can possibly attain, that's better for you because then you are actually can receive loan products at a lesser cost. So bad credit costs you more money as opposed to having good credit. So there is a difference there. So if you have poor credit, then potentially, you're not going to get the same rate that somebody that has a better credit rate.
Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world to me to look at somebody that's got bad credit and increase the chances that they're not going to pay me by charging them more than I charge a person with good credit. So that philosophically tells me that I'm dealing with a crook. I mean, this is why I'm not friendly. They're not friendly to me. I'm not friendly to them either, because it just doesn't make sense to me that the person who needs a little help and they're proving it, and given the same rate that you give the guy with good credit, the guy with bad credit could probably pay.
I hear you calling me, Mr. Allen.
But because he's got some bad credit, you're going to use that as an opportunity to help him get worse credit. Not you, Sherry. You're the good person, and you're trying to straighten this out. I just needed to vent. That's all. Catch your breath, Wallace. All right. Okay.
Understood.
And I'm doing that for like pregnant women eat for 2 or 3. If they're having 2 or 3 babies, and I'm breathing and venting now for 2 or 3 million. So, because I got buddies, and they've all told me that what I just said, they've been wanting to say it. Matter of fact, they would like for the people who call them on the phone to show up in person so they can look them in the eye and really tell them how they feel, and maybe get them to sit down and eat some special food that they cooked up for them that's got a special taste and really a great special effect on. Well, anyway, I guess I just exposed a whole lot of myself here. I don't know if I should say I'm sorry or if I should just put my hands behind my back and let them put the handcuffs on me and walk me away.
No, I mean, what you're saying is that the experience that many people probably feel is that, I already have, I'm already having credit challenges. So I think the important thing in that scenario is to find out what options are available to you so that you can actually be on the other side of the fence and that you can be considered as someone with a better credit rating so that you don't have to pay as much money if you need to borrow. So that really, there really is no magic pill. I always say there's no magic fairy dust that I can sprinkle around and then we all have an 850 credit score. It just isn't going to happen. And that's not even good English, but that is the truth. So, so therein that we need to be educated about, well, what should I be doing? Should I be looking at my credit report? Because there is a report that says that 1 in 4 consumers actually have an error on their credit report that is egregious enough that what can potentially prevent you from receiving that home loan, prevent you from even receiving that job if you're working in an industry where they actually do pull credit reports. Okay, that would be our gaming industry, number one.
Gaming industry. Yeah. Boy, when you said that, I thought about this again. This is the gaming industry.
So that's the thing. We need to be educated about what can I do? So take a look at your credit report. So with that 1 in 4, potentially somebody here sitting around this table may have an error on their credit report. So start there. What is actually on my credit report? Do I have some debts that I do need to look at? What can I do to reduce? So it's just all about being proactive.
And if you're about to buy a house, or if you're about to buy a car, or if you're about to buy anything, and you've got bad credit, you're going to still get to buy that because there's going to be somebody, Mr. Jones, I got bad news for you. Good news and bad news. Bad news is that, the company's not going to be able to accept you the way you are. The good news is that I can kind of alter the way they're looking at you if you were able to do a few things. And that's when the selling really gets to take place. Everybody's not educated to that part of it, and I guess that's why some of us feel really, really upset about the fact that, about the whole credit situation. But I'm not going to let my personal attitudes, I am. I can't help it. This is my radio show. But I want you to convince people, give those folks who really are concerned about their credit before they get ready to buy something, how can they and what should they do and what can your organization do to help those people who are a little more level-headed about this, not so aggressive and revolutionary and anti-social about credit like my friend Mr. Evans is.
Well, I think you make a great point, and I think certainly if before signing on to a subprime loan or something of that nature, can you withhold that purchase? Can you withhold until you can improve your credit score so that you can qualify for a lower interest rate? I know that that conversation can happen. Well, we cannot do this for you, Mr. Consumer, but we can do that. And you're looking at this interest rate, and you know that you can't afford that, but you think that you need this particular vehicle or this whatever. So
but your company is not one that's item based. You're not there trying to get somebody to buy your product, and therefore you're trying to improve their credit. You're actually there trying to help people.
Yeah, our whole goal is personal financial education, so that you're educated, so that you understand that, hey, if I've had some credit challenges in the past, this is not the end for me. Many times people feel like this is the end. I'm never going to be able to buy a home, or I'm always going to be in that subprime loan category. No, that is not true. Essentially, what you do need to do, as I said before, is to be proactive. Find out what is on your credit report. What is the challenge? Are you overspending? Okay, sometimes it takes somebody just to take a look at your income. Do you need 3 cars? Do you need a $400 cable a month bill? And these are some of the stories that we hear. So if you find that you're having a budget problems, or I like to call it a spending plan, just start with the basics. Where are you? Where do we need to be? Okay, and this is not any type of investment advice. This is just basic, simple spending plan. And essentially, you have to spend less than what you make. That's
You're selling common sense.
I think what you're saying here is that the answer to how to fix this is simple. There's no secrets here. It's just a question that you have understood what to do. You can share it with people, and the credit score is a result of things that are under the control of the individual. There's a way you got here. There's a way to get where you prefer to be to a better score, and you understand that system. And there's no mystery here.
I think if there is
that are available to everyone.
I think if there is a mystery, it's going to be much like what Alexis was speaking of in terms of the STEM program for students. It's the same as Ms. Tracy was concerned about with young people knowing the language, the culture of the dominant language of the dominant cultures around them. Here with the language of credit, most of us wait until we are with bad habits to try to learn what the good habit is. So once again, Miss Tracy Holmes, we need you to write a book for our children about the importance of financial literacy.
Absolutely.
We know about physical fitness. We need to know about fiscal fitness.
I like that. And I like how you say fiscal, because even when you say financial literacy, sometimes, that word is, you get the deer in the headlights. Well, what actually is that? What is that? So I like how you say fiscal. Maybe we can connect more than that. And it's just really having an understanding. It's not even how much money you make. That is the truth, because it's what do you decide to do with your money?
Well, now, as we plan for our future again, and I'm looking at our United Nations of Consciousness and their attempt to get us prepared for true life, and a company like yours, I'm wondering if we had a youth workshop where we had the opportunity to teach children both physical fitness and fiscal fitness, having our banks and people like you come and show these people and children how to keep up with a bank account. Give them a bank account. Wow, that'd be a good thing to get started. Give them a bank account. Give them a reason for being able to keep up with some money. And then, like with Alexis here, we need to give them or provide them with a way to have some money so they can exercise early the relationship with the banks and have an on-time advantage.
Absolutely. The earlier you start with this, and I'll admit I'm late to the game as well. If I had known now what I know, at her age, you probably would have never met me, Wallace, because I know I'd be on the beach writing my bestseller.
Okay.
So that's just being very transparent. So you know what you know when you know, but certainly for our culture is that, we have to decide what is a need versus a want. I mean, do you need jeans or do you need the $350 pair of jeans? Okay. So all of that's psychological. Those are some real, very real conversations that you really have to have. Why are you making somebody else rich? Okay, why are you giving all your money to them?
Okay, now we're into the world of
this might be a whole nother show, but that really is the reality. Is that what is a need versus a want? I mean, you need food, clothing, and shelter. Okay.
One of our friends, Mr. McRoyal, Leonard, taught us or taught me that if you like it and you want to buy one, there's probably another 10 people who want to buy one. So why don't you get to the price break, buy 10 and sell 8, and you will have gotten yours free, maybe made some gas money. That's another thing we need to teach our children. We call that hustling. Oh, you know what? He's just a hustler. Like that's something wrong with that.
I think that isn't that like entrepreneurial thought?
but there is a segment of our population who grew up with, or carry the idea that, making $1 out of 15 cents, something wrong with that. But if you don't make $1 out of 15 cents, you can't hire anybody. You can't.
Well, if you're providing
re-up and buy what your product is about.
Value.
Yeah. So profit is profit, but a lot of times we call the money that it takes to maintain our status as profit. It's not. That's seed money. That's just what you've got to have to keep on going. And we do appreciate the fact that we need to keep on going, and that we've got people around us who are going to encourage us to do that with great planning for our children and great correction moves for those of us who have gotten started on the wrong road, but we're still driving. We're going to be here tomorrow. Do we want to be in the same bad place, or do we want to be in a better place? To be in a better place is what I encourage. We'll be right back after this short break to help you become a better person and try to find a better place and do something better today than you did yesterday. And all of that will help make tomorrow better. We'll be right back.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
E-Digits. Lock them in for more information, recreation, and guaranteed fun. KCAA 1050 AM.
This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen, and I want you to look at me. I want you to listen to me. I want you to pay attention, because I have a man here whose whole job is to do that, to help you make a presentation, be accurate in your presentation, solicit from your presentation those things that are going to be necessary to move those people that you want to move over to the spot you want them to move to. That's manipulation. That's the reason for presentation. And I think I'm right. Mr. Radney, that's what you do, right? You are corporate.
I'm a corporate trainer. My job is to help people do better presentations.
Very good.
To enlighten their skills from the standpoint of leadership skills and conflict management.
See, this is my effort to get a good free consultation from you. And now that you've watched us operate, tell us what we've done wrong, or tell us what we've done right, or tell us how. Well, okay, I won't be able to get this free consultation. I see you making the calculations, rolling those stem cells and stem knowledge back in your head here to say, oh no, Wallace, we're not getting it up like that.
Well, actually, Wallace, as I look at your presentation, one of the things that I always admire is someone who comes prepared. All too often people show up to do a presentation, they've not seen the room, they don't know the audience, they're not prepared to do the presentation. And that's what kills most presenters. Is not taking a few early steps to just make sure everything's the way it should be.
Okay.
Go through the room. Make sure if you're up front that the person sitting farthest from the front can see and hear you. If you're using visual material, make sure that the person farthest from you can see it clearly, which means using a large enough font and a clear enough font for people to see.
Very good. Very good. Okay. How do people get in touch? What got you in this business, Charles Radney?
What got me in the business?
Well, what I know money is an inspiration, but there's something beyond that moves people of your stature, and I understand that. So, what made you determine that this was a business for you, and helped you get into it?
Well, in observing a lot of people were doing presentations, doing stand-up sales at some of the different venues, I watched some of the mistakes that I saw people making and wanted to put myself in a position to help people to give presentations that would be meaningful and memorable.
Leonard, we're talking to the man who sells salesmanship.
Yes.
Man, you the guy. I'm just.
what do you think is the main element in holding people's attention through the entire presentation?
Did you hear that, Charles?
No, I didn't hear the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here,
What do you?
He wanted to know.
Feel?
Yeah. What do you do? How can you assure that people are going to maintain attention throughout your presentation? And one of the things he said earlier, Leonard, I guess, was to be sure that everybody involved can see and hear what you are presenting.
Mm-hmm. Proper font and things like that, right?
Well, to make sure people that you keep their attention, first off, you got to interact with the group. You can't be in front of a group and just stand there. You need to physically move throughout the room, interact with people, make the proper eye contact. Make sure that you know your audience. Knowing your audience goes a long way towards you being able to maintain that interest, because you need to be able to address what that particular audience is looking for.
Your presentation depends on where you are. Leonard, you started the program discussing a presentation that our citizens make when police pull them over. And you described how you think it's important that they present a circumstance for the policeman to look at that doesn't arouse his testosterone level, doesn't create his suspicion
yourself
level.
As non-threatening.
Charles, when we talk about presentation, this is what we're dealing with. We're not just dealing with your business corporate presentation. And as you honestly get involved with the importance of corporate presentation, your presentations that you made as a young man helped mold you into determining that this was an important thing. Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, definitely you're right on that, because growing up, you had to learn how to present yourself in a way to everyone that would ensure your success and or your survival.
But we're learning as we look at the news and that we see the levels of success and failure with people, that everybody is not paying attention to the fact that their presentation has as much to do with the response as the other person's reaction.
Well, since a large part of communication is nonverbal, just your physical stance and how you stand and approach or react to, since you're going to the road of police, how you react to police and how they perceive you is huge in how the next steps turn.
So presentation is as internal as it is external?
It's all of it. Okay. It's what you say, but it's also how you look.
And who you are and how you feel about who you are.
Your level
because your body, you just told us about how important body language is. All of these things, I'm simply trying to point out that there is a central thing to everything that we do, and that when we talk about doing a variety of things, we're still talking about doing the one singular thing, and that's expressing inside the outside what's really inside. And what is inside is something that we can control, just as our credit rating, if we determine that it's important enough to control. Just as looking at certain things are going to give us an advantage as we talk about education, we can become... There are many people who 6-7 years ago were certain that they were absolutely correct when they told their kids, you're wasting your time playing them damn video games. But now we find that people who are playing some of those people who were playing those video games have qualified themselves for some high-tech jobs that the older, solid advice-giving people had no idea of. So we have to be careful as we give advice, and we have to be careful as we tell our young people to take advice, because all of our advice is not good. We're looking at a anniversary of a ferry that went under what do we say? Crashed. Ferry didn't crash. It sunk last year with a group of students on it. Some of the students did as they were told, and they didn't move. They were told to stay where you are, everything will be all right. And there were some students that said, I don't believe you. And they didn't stay, and they moved, and they got out of the boat. And unfortunately, for those who took orders, the only ones who escaped were those who didn't follow orders. So we have a circumstance here on the planet as we are trying to develop our children and our future that says wisdom is important. You know, Wallace is old man, he must be smart. We want to pay attention to him.
Yet offer advice.
Yet Wallace's energy doesn't let him get up and be all of the places where he earned that wisdom. So he's really behind the times. And the only way to kind of balance him out is to hook him up with Davion. Because Davion's got energy. He's a young man. He's still got good eyes. And he's got a conscience. And you work those two things together. I think that if we're going to be successful, not just for us as individuals or us as a people, but us as people who occupy the planet with other folk, we are obligated to reach out and find out what is that other person offering from his point of view. Because the truth is that no one can see all of anything from one position. And to show you what I really mean is across the planet, we've got people who are sure that God is on their side, that they know all about God, and that they know so much about God they can tell you what you're supposed to do. Well, God is too big for any one person to see all of. Now, come on. So we need to be together on that basic thing and on the basic situation of living and living together, because as Charles points out, your presentation is very important. It describes who you think you are and who you want other people to think you are. And
if I may,
please.
Everything that you can see, can you see what is behind you? Without someone else's help.
That's right. So when you say I got your back, I hope you got my back looking at my face, as opposed to looking at the back of my head saying you got my back, because now I wonder who got yours. Okay, but if you're looking in my face and telling me you got my back, that means I'm looking in your face and I can tell you I got your back. But we got to look at each other. We got to work with each other. We cannot be operating in secret if we want to make things happen. Leonard, you could probably help me. There was a movie scene once with a couple of black comedians who one would say, "Hello, have you seen?" And the other person would say, "Oh, yeah, I saw her the other day. And did you know?" And he would say, "Yeah, I did know that her husband was so." And they would just carry this conversation without finishing sentences. We have a circumstance amongst us as individuals that said, "Don't interrupt me." But we're not necessarily interrupting. We're completing each other's sentences, which demonstrates we're maybe thinking the same things, and that we have a hidden power if we were ready to use it. But we interrupt the hidden power with the obvious power of who's in charge to talk. Think about that, folks. If we stop talking and listen, I guess that's what I'm going to do. I want to thank everybody for being here this week. Charles, thank you very much. Sherry, as usual, thank you. Alexis, keep up the good work. Miss Tracy, we've given you 3 or 4 assignments for your books. Hadavian, thank you for your energy. We appreciate you coming in. Keep up the good work. Joe, as usual, I appreciate what you're doing. And the Mood Master. Folks, we're going to try to see if we can go back out to the Rialto Drop-In Jazz Festival, see Sheila E. Maybe our friend Anthony Garcia will be asked to join Byron Miller, the band leader. Those are all people that the Mood Master has worked with before. We want to remind you, we'll be here next week under 2 circumstances. Before I remind you of that, the Rialto Jazz Fest, if you want your tickets, go to rialtojazzfest.com. See you next week under 2 circumstances. 1, if the good Lord's willing. 2, if the creek don't rise. God bless you. Thank you for being with us. See you next week. Thank you,
KCAA Loma Linda.
Are you looking for a car, truck, or SUV without changing your finances? A place to go where the staff treats you like family? Well, look no further than West Coast Auto in Montclair. West Coast Auto has the biggest and widest variety of cars, trucks, and SUVs in Southern California. Get yourself in a new car with no payments due for the first 90 days. Credit not that great? No worries. West Coast Auto will help you get into your dream car or truck at a rate that is second to none. For more information, call 909-9-MILLION. That's 909-9-MILLION, or visit their website at westcoastauto.com.
This is KCAA.
Bob Vila here with my home improvement tip of the day. Whether you're building a new home or looking to spruce up the interior space of your older home, recessed lighting is a great way to add style and functionality to your digs. Before you head